Hello everybody, ChaoticMeatball here, and allow me to welcome you to the history of Super Sentai. Super Sentai, the parent show to the much-loved Power Rangers. You may be wondering, why the heck are you talking about a show about Japanese people beating up rubber-suited monsters in multicolored spandex? Well, first of all, they don't use spandex until Gagaku Sentai Dynaman. And because I love this show. Power Rangers was the first show I ever remember watching when I was 3 years old, and I've been viewing it ever since. Around 2010, I saw the Great Legend War movie due to seeing it go viral, having all previous Rangers team up, along with these teams I had never seen before. Who are these teams and where did they come from, I asked myself, eventually going down that rabbit hole that is Super Sentai, a show created by Shitaro Ishinomori, better known for the creation of Kamen Rider in 1971. He wanted to bring the idea to a team of heroes, so in 1975, Himitsu Sentai Gorenger was created. The 45th anniversary of this series as of this video was on April 5th, 2020, so I figured now would be the best time to watch and review every season in a similar fashion of Linkara's History of Power Rangers. I've watched that series numerous times, and I hope to bring this series as much justice as he has done for Power Rangers. Anyway, enough with the preamble stuff. It's time to get into the show proper. So, the show starts off with a theme song, and this really feels like something made in the era. It's catchy and really enjoyable. I also believe that the phrase "Go Go Power Rangers" was definitely taken from this series, as the theme song has a part that sings "Go, Go, Go!" And yes, while the name of the series is Go Ranger, I have the feeling that this is why we got that phrase there. In fact, after some research through interviews with Ron Wasserman, Haim Saban specifically wanted Go Go in the theme song to harken back to the origins of Sentai. Anyway, enough about the American show. We have Sentai review, not Rangers. We begin with a team of people playing soccer on a military base, the organization being named Eagle, which stands for Earth Guard League. I guess people have to enjoy themselves somehow, since military work is pretty hard from what I've heard. Plus, since this was the 70s, there weren't many TV shows you could plop yourself in front of, nor were there any games of significant length to get invested in. Heck, you probably only had the Magnavox Odyssey at that point. Unfortunately, the ball gets shot by a monster named Gold Mask, joined by the foot soldiers of the show, Zolders. They're part of the villain faction of the show called the Black Cross Army, who run down and literally stab and blow up every member on the field, and the Eagle buildings surrounding them. I get the fact that the show was aimed towards children, but wow, that's quite a bit of death to show in only the first 2 minutes of the episode. Only one survives, looking for other potential survivors of the attack. He's able to catch the commander's dying words, revealing that it was his brother. The rest of the group is shot down, and the only survivor's name is revealed to be Tsuyoshi Kaijo, later becoming the Aka Ranger, the first Red Warrior of the Super Sentai series. Repeat this process 4 more times with other monsters on 4 other bases, and we have ourselves a 5-member team that form the first team of many to be the world's defenders, Himitsu Sentai Gorenger. Our other 4 survivors are Akira Shinmei, the Owl Ranger, Daita Aiwa, the Ki Ranger, Peggy Matsuyama, the Momo Ranger, and Kenji Asuka, the Mito Ranger. These characters leave an impression on us, showing that they're all able to adapt to these deadly situations and trick the Black Cross soldiers into thinking they're dead, rather than being able to fight the entire group by themselves. I really like this because it shows that they're not invincible like some other future Sentai can sometimes come off as, especially larger teams like Kyoryuger and Q Ranger. And with that, the 5-person team is assembled, forming the Go Rangers. Fun fact, the word 5 in Japanese is pronounced Go, so it makes sense. 5 Rangers, Go Rangers, you get it. We see the villain's lair, a basic cave which makes sense for the first season, as there really isn't too much of a budget here, but it also makes sense that they need to be in hiding in order to keep the attacks up on the Go Rangers. However, the first misstep of this episode, we see our Ranger already transformed, shooting arrows for target practice, with Gorenger passing by him. This is extremely confusing at first, especially when we also see Ranger pulling a large truck by himself, Ranger fighting off several Zolders, and Ranger practicing his abilities with a boomerang. And I have one simple question. Where did you get these powers? All of a sudden you were getting attacked. Didn't have the powers to save them before, but now you do? I don't understand. I'm already enraged, and we're not even through the first episode. But I will give this show a pass since it's only the first season of 2,000 plus episodes for this series, so there are bounds to be oddities that I wouldn't understand, especially when given the context of other seasons and even Power Rangers, where the season of that, they had a special meeting with Zordon who gave them the Power Morphers, making this feel like a special occasion, a rise to power, but the Gorengers don't have that. They just get the suits and start practicing in them. I also have to comment on the suits themselves. I said earlier that they were not made of spandex until Dynaman, and oh boy, it shows. These suits look flimsy, but the style is really shown off with the belts and helmets. I love the unique visors, especially on Gorenger and Ranger, since they have some of the coolest helmets I've ever seen in the series. The only thing holding them back from being the upper echelon of the designs are the stripes across the front, especially when you can tell that they're peeling away from the suits in some shots. Anyway, they all meet together and lock in keys that they have for some reason, which opens a chamber called the Gorenger Room. Here they're given their vehicles for the season, which look really spiffy, especially for the time since they look sleek and have great decals on them to signify their status as a team. They also have a helicopter that allows them to fly over the city. This makes sense due to the fact that they are part of a military organization. They depart and find the Black Cross invading a gunpowder factory, where they kidnap a busload of kids and knock over the teacher from getting to them. Luckily, she's left alive and tells the Gorengers where the monsters went, so they do something sensible. They break through the roof of the warehouse so that they can get the bus out of the building before it explodes, saving the children. Kaijo then chases after Gold Mask and the Zolders, where the other Gorengers appear to fight. And we get our first roll call of the entire series, which leads to a pretty neat fight scene that shows them pulling their weapons from the visors on the helmet, an interesting choice that I remember being used way later in the future with Ranger, so it's cool to see that it got its start here. However, we do see more evidence of the aging of the show, as there's no sparks whatsoever when the Zolders get struck. This does make the show seem more realistic, well, as realistic as a team of multicolored costume-wearing heroes can be. The Gorengers use their Gorenger Storm, the first team attack, where they're able to use a soccer ball to kick into Gold Mask and destroy him. Weird choice, but it's fun, and it's a callback to how Kaijo and his branch were playing soccer before the Black Cross began their invasion. This concludes episode 1, leading to an ending theme, which is a completely different song than the intro, which is a nice touch. Since I'm used to American shows using their instrumental version of the opening theme as the ending theme. And it's a very strong start for this series, as we get the first battle straight away, getting the payoff of Gorenger being able to destroy Gold Mask for killing his brother and comrades of the Kanto Eagle branch. One thing that I didn't mention about the suits earlier is that there's a sense of grandeur from them, as they all have capes. This is less efficient, of course, than future suits, but it is a unique thing, and it also has colored visors for some of them, so it kind of feels asymmetrical, but hey, what are you gonna do? The numbering is also somewhat strange, especially when you compare it to something like Gorenger, where we have the order of red, blue, green, yellow, then pink. But this season is red, blue, yellow, pink, and green. It's just a nitpick, but I like consistencies if we're gonna go with numbering of the colors. However, I will say it makes sense, since Asuka is actually only 17 years old, so it makes sense that the Green Ranger, that's so much younger than the rest of them, is going to be the least in command. In episode 2, we see a weird choice of how the suits are used, as Ranger gets shot with an arrow, and it actually penetrates the suit, wounding him in the first fight with Samurai Mask. This is rectified by the end of the episode, as Ranger destroys Samurai Mask with an arrow with one of Ranger's bombs attached to it. This formula is followed by episodes 3 through 5, as each respective monster that attacked the Eagle bases are destroyed. And I must say that Aiwa is becoming quickly my favorite character of this series, as he's a bit dumb, eats a lot, but has a kind heart and helps his teammates as much as possible. I'm going to be leaving most of the character development until the end, but his character is definitely something, especially for the beginning of a show that's probably going to be bland. There is also a moment in episode 5 that tells us that the duty of the Go Rangers is not revenge, but to rescue. However, I feel that's counterproductive, since if they do take out the Black Cross as fast as possible, they won't have to rescue anyone else, so taking revenge kind of comes in a package deal. The Go Rangers don't like this, but our commander of the series, Kenpachi Itagawa, dispatches 2 of his agents to scout out the Black Cross's base. And we see that they're actually capable fighters even without suits, which is nice to see that we have characters that can assist the Go Rangers in tasks of taking down the Black Cross army. I also have to comment on the fact that the series has no henshin device. They just jump into the air or turn in place to change into their suits, while saying the word go. But it's fine, but I do like me some nice henshin sequences. And if you're unaware, henshin is the Japanese word for morph or transform, and I will refer to it as henshin rather than morph so that it's distinguished from Power Rangers a little bit more. I also have to comment on the imagery of this episode, as it shows Mito Ranger being legitimately crucified and having to be revived by the other Go Rangers. I get that this is a severe form of torture, but I really hate the imagery of it, especially when you've seen a movie like Passion of the Christ portray it as an actual thing being done to actual people and it being completely horrifying. But back to positivity, the fight scenes of this show, while simple, also have great use of the theme song during them, something that I can't say about some other seasons. Last thing that we move on before the next plot point, I keep comparing to Power Rangers since all of these seasons are mostly blind to me. I'm experiencing and enjoying the seasons while writing this review and retrospective. And when I see something, I usually associate it with Power Rangers or, very rarely, other shows. But with more seasons watched means more context I'll have for later seasons, being able to draw comparisons to those rather than an entirely different show. As we move into episode 6, I have to comment on the fact that the series has 5 movies. These movies are longer versions of episodes 6, 15, 36, 54, and one in between 56 and 57. These are just extensions on scenes given to us in the regular TV airings of the episodes, so they're really not plot essential, and therefore I'm only going to be covering through the TV versions of the episodes. Episode 6 is another filler episode about retrieving a microfilm that has personal data on the Go Rangers, but it doesn't make that much sense. Why do the Black Cross want this data? They already know the identities of the Go Rangers, so why do they need anything else? Since I'm sure that the microfilm doesn't have data on where their base is. They're able to retrieve it though, so nothing is lost. The next episode shows that Bigfoot really does exist. We've known it since 1975. No, it's actually just the monster of the week, transforming captives into these atrocities. Good change of pace is that Crescent Moon Mask isn't just destroyed after yet another Go Ranger storm. Rather, he reforms after a large explosion, but then is immediately destroyed after our Ranger shoots his staff, which was a little bit anticlimactic, but still the refreshing thing. They could have easily made this a 2-part episode by allowing the monster to escape, but alas, he is destroyed. Cool design too, I love the blood red Crescent Moon design. In fact, I'll just say now that these early, low-budget monster designs are amazing, and I love the resourcefulness of the costume designers to make things look extremely threatening while still retaining a style that people of all ages can enjoy. After his destruction, we go back to the caves of the Black Cross and see that the leader of the Black Cross army is dressed in all white and could definitely be mistaken for a member of the Ku Klux Klan. That's not good for a kids' show. Definitely not good. I'm at that point already that when we see something that is just not seen at all in our television unless it's for mature audiences, I'm just gonna say, because Japan. We get a few more fillers, some with cool ideas for monsters like Poison Fang Mask, which gave me a sort of crazed African tribal feeling, which is really neat, almost like how Kamala's mask from the Hulk Hogan era of the WWF looked. In episode 9, we get a cosmic change to the Go Ranger storm, as we get the ball to change colors to signify which ranger it is getting kicked to, eventually becoming a spiked ball for the final strike by Aka Ranger. Other than that, the episode really isn't noteworthy, though it mentions that the helicopter that they've been piloting is called the Varybloon, but that really should have been disclosed earlier when the vehicle was introduced. Either that or I didn't catch it in previous episodes, but I'm about 95% sure it wasn't named until now. Nothing really goes on until episode 15, as every episode here usually features a child being kidnapped or tricked into staying with the monster of the week. It's definitely a weird formula, but it fits seeing as the target audience is children, and the children want the good guys to win. Relatively simple, but it definitely works here to establish a status quo. However, we get finally a reoccurring monster in episode 15, that being Sun Halo Mask, who isn't destroyed until later since he's the first general of the series, and he's actually very formidable, showing that he has the ability to cast illusions, driving Peggy insane in episode 16 to the point where she can't look into a reflective surface, or she'll see said illusions. The narrator is also oddly switched out as well, going from Nobuo Tanaka to Toru Aira, who was remaining as the narrator for the series all the way until Dynaman, returning briefly to narrate Zyuranger. Fun fact, he's actually a very notable voice actor in Japan, having done the voices for Darth Vader and Homer Simpson. What's really funny is that in episode 16, after the Gorenger storm is used on Mirror Mask, when he falls on the ground, they cut to a completely different place to reuse an explosion from earlier in the series. Man, if this doesn't tell you they didn't have a budget, what will? Another monster that I have to comment on is in episode 17, Black Hair Mask, as his weapon is a giant freaking comb that fires missiles, and the ones that fire off, stay off. Great continuity and a great combination weapon, I really like it. Though, why would you fire missiles from it if you die from losing all of the comb teeth? Also, what it looks like from here, it seems like that there's a visual of Black Hair Mask arriving in what looks like hell. And it's only there for about 2 seconds, but it's very disturbing to be frank. I started noticing it in this episode, but I kept seeing it every time a monster died. Pretty disturbing if I say so myself. Another crazy thing that we see here is that we learn that the boss of the Black Cross is called the Führer, as Hitler was in World War II. Definitely fitting as they want to commit mass genocide to the human race. Man, this show's depressing as all get out. I can't wait till we get some positivity. Then again, I guess it makes sense. These are people that witness their friends die as a result of invasions. It really makes it feel like all-out war, and that the Gorengers need to fight to allow for humanity to survive, or else they're completely done. Anyway, our next bit of plot comes in episode 20, the introduction of our newest general, Iron Mask General Tenmujin, who will replace Sun Halo Mask if he can't destroy the Gorengers within 3 days. Therefore, Sun Halo Mask tries to trick the Rangers into thinking he has defected, even going as far as giving them pictures of where the Black Cross hideout is. However, it's a trap, and everyone except for Aqua Ranger is trapped within a poison gas room threatening to kill them. We get more destruction of Eagle bases here, showing that the Black Cross has some immense firepower at their disposal. Luckily, they're rescued and they destroy Sun Halo Mask with, you guessed it, a Gorenger storm. It seems like they're basically unable to destroy a monster unless they hit it with a ball. Okay then, I guess Japan. The next episode introduces a 3-part arc that involves the Black Cross Army retrieving a blimp called Atlantis, which is used to sink the city of the same name. Unfortunately, it just feels drawn out, since the Gorengers end up stopping the ship from sinking Japan. Also, apparently the Gorengers can fly, as evidenced by Key Ranger jumping up into the air and trying to catch the blimp, and immediately falling down. Did I mention I love how to the point Daita is? He tries to storm the ship to take it down himself, basically trying to be the badass, but it's both amazing and funny watching it. Lastly, I have one very important question during episode 22, and it involves the scene where Iron Mask Temujin and some Zolders are firing down on the Gorengers. They are not blown up, nor do they make any contact with them, and Temujin says, "We've taken care of the Gorengers." And I have a counterpoint. No, you didn't! They are clearly still alive and driving. How are you so dumb to the point where you don't continue to rain down bullets and explosives until they're dead? I can't stand when villains are stupid and allow the heroes to survive when they can easily destroy them and be over with it. It feels like a writing cop-out, just so that they wouldn't have to find a method of allowing the Gorengers to escape the encounter and come up with another plan. At least the Go Rangers aren't as dumb, as they remember that they have the birdies to help them fly up to the blimp, essentially a jetpack of sorts, destroying it for good with a mid-air Go Ranger storm. At least this time it was a bit more unique. It wasn't exactly a strong multi-part episode, but it did introduce some really high stakes in the form of a hydrogen bomb possibly being dropped on Japan. I also saw more of the budget going into this series of episodes as well, as the explosions are starting to look more like explosions rather than just mounds of dirt flying into the air, which is great to see. We get some minor plot developments, such as Asuka getting a new Maidamarang after the original one is destroyed in episode 24, but nothing too important. Episode 27, though, is probably the biggest episode by far, as we see the Go Rangers intercept a shipment going to Iron Mask General Temujin, but it turns out that it's a trap, and the monster of the week, Iron Nail Mask, completely trashes the command base, even destroying their team vehicles in the process. However, we get yet another instance of why I love Daita so much, as he tries headbutting the monster and hurts his head and gets one in return, knocking him back into the wall. His strength is no match for this monster, but it doesn't mean he's going down without the fight of his life. Though, the odd choice here is that the monster is weakened by the noise of the fluorescent light. I mean, I guess that's convenient? I did some research about fluorescent light and learned that they do in fact make noise of a certain frequency, but I just never noticed before. Good on you, Go Ranger, for using a scientific fact as one of your monster's weaknesses. They eventually destroy Iron Nail Mask with Go Ranger Storm, which somehow goes through the ground to look like a mole, and he steps on it, sending him to hell. Ah, Japan. We also see by the end of the episode that the team vehicles are back in working condition. I guess the monster just pulled off the decorative coverings of the vehicles rather than any vital parts. The next 3 episodes are just filler, preventing the Black Cross from causing some explosions. Gotta keep that budget tight or else the Black Cross will spend it all on big explosions. Episode 31 gives us more destruction of Eagle bases, making me believe that they're really not well protected. Like, you would have thought that after, 2 humongous attacks, that they would have tried protecting themselves and making measures to prevent Zolders and other monsters from coming in, but it seems like the Eagle soldiers are as useful as stormtroopers. However, that's not the only thing to happen here. As the Go Rangers encounter the monster of the week, Iron Pipe Mask, he's actually really strong, durable enough to the point that the Maidamarang shatters upon hitting him. I'm starting to think that Asuka needs a new weapon after this thing being destroyed twice. Our Ranger's Blue Cherry also shatters upon contact, and even the Go Ranger Storm does absolutely nothing to him, forcing the Go Rangers into retreat. The Black Cross decides to go into the snack shop and kidnap Commander Edogawa, who is still in his cooking garb. And he plays like he has no idea what's going on, but it doesn't really work until the Go Rangers come to rescue him. Iron Pipe Mask threatens to kill him, but the Go Rangers keep walking forward, convincing the villains that they have the wrong guy. This time, the Go Rangers are able to defeat him with a homing Go Ranger Storm, an upgrade they made for it earlier in the episode. Now this is how you do an individual episode. It has stakes, had the Rangers develop a power-up by themselves in order to defeat a higher strength monster. Very clever, and I really enjoyed it. And I also love how Edogawa is able to pretend that he's just a curry shop guy. He gets really into it, and he's just a hoot during all the scenes with him and the villains. We get yet another weapon in the next episode, where Aka Ranger uses the Silver Shot, a gun that is used as a flare. The Black Cross also attempts to hijack the Varibloon, but it doesn't work. But it was a sound plan, as it was said that the helicopter could fly around the world once without refueling, as well as being able to only have to be piloted by one person, making it a more useful device. Makes me wonder why the Go Rangers don't scout out the bases of the Black Cross and use the Varibloon to blow them up. Then again, explosions aren't very budget-conscious, aren't they? However, I do like the practical effects used for scenes with the Varibloon. They look really efficient and don't make you realize immediately that they are practical effects. Anyway, they capture Shinmei, which doesn't work since he just trashes the base with the Varibloon. Oddly enough, the monster of the episode dies to the Go Ranger Storm, which for some reason transforms into a block of wood that he tries to chop, only to go to hell. It makes sense, as his name is Large Hatchet Mask. Live by the chop, die by the chop.